50 minutes.
Call meeting
50
order.
seconds.
Please stand for pledge allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening and welcome to tonight's meeting, September 13th, 2022. Tonight's meeting will be conducted in accordance with the Open Meetings Act, a copy of which is posted on the back wall. First item of business would be approval of the minutes. We have three different sets of minutes, August 23rd for the council meeting, August 25th for the budget meeting, and September 6th for the master comp plan meeting. The first two we can do together since everybody was there for that. That'd be a little easier to do it that way. Any comments, questions, or corrections on anything? I did see one thing on the regular minutes, meeting minutes. Very last sentence. Closed session, it says ended at 8:02. I think it was supposed to be 8:20. Because we came out of closed session 8:20.
Yeah, it was later than 02.
8:20.
Sure. It was later than 02.
Oh, okay, so
I think you just transposed your numbers.
Because I left at 8:58.
Okay,
and it was-
okay.
Yeah, I don't want
That's
people
right.
thinking we sat here for 19 minutes.
Okay, I'll get another one corrected and have you sign it.
Okay. Any other
Signature page.
comments, questions, corrections, anything anybody saw? But either the council meeting on the 23rd or the budget meeting on the 25th?
Move we approve those as amended.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Sherman, second by Mr. Olson. Roll call.
Elwinger,
Yes.
Sherman,
Yes?
Galloway,
Yes.
Radcliffe,
Yes.
Olson.
Yes.
Motion carries 5 in favor, 0 against. Comments, questions, corrections on the minutes for the master comp plan meeting on September 6th? If not, is there a motion for those?
We'll move we approve those.
Motion by Sherman, is there a second? Second by Radcliffe. Roll call,
Sherman,
Yes.
Galloway,
abstain.
Radcliffe,
Yes.
Olson.
Yes.
Abstain if you weren't here.
Oh, I wasn't here. Abstain.
Elwinger,
Yes.
Motion carries 3 in favor, 2 abstentions. Sorry. Item number 3, comments by the public. If there is anything anybody would wish to speak to that is not otherwise on the agenda.
Do you want to do it now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Come on up and state your name and address.
Then you have to stay till the end.
And then in accordance with policy, we can give you 3 minutes and
This
can't
will take like
necessarily
1
give you a
minute.
response, but
So my name's Tasha Jones. I'm new to the area. I'm the new Cheyenne County Chamber President and CEO. You've probably seen my face blasted on Facebook and the newspapers. I don't know I guess I have my card. If anybody wants it, I'd be glad to sit down and talk to you guys about the chamber and just what we can do to improve Cheyenne County. So
awesome.
that's me.
Welcome.
Thanks,
I
Tasha.
can give you my card at the end of the meeting.
That's fine too.
Okay.
Well, welcome aboard. When did you hit the ground running?
September 1st.
Okay.
We had a lengthy meeting here a few days ago, too, and it was
Monday, yeah.
I'll take a
very
card
good.
if you,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I would as well.
I was gonna say, I'll just, yeah.
Okay, well, that's good to know. Item number 4, consideration of
Take that off
ordinance
my manager's comments now.
1838, sale of land to Table of Grace. Basically, we were having to redo this because of a typo and error.
Yeah, sorry about that. We've done this before. You guys have already passed this. The only difference is we had the right legal description, but we had Lot 3, and Lot 3 was that little skinny one that you would never be able to build anything. It was supposed to be Lot 2, and oddly enough, it didn't get caught till it got to the title company, so that's why we're just asking you to reapprove this, so we can continue to move forward with that.
So, slight clerical error, same project,
Yep.
nothing's changed, same terms. We just have to redo the ordinance to make it official. So we will need to designate the ordinance, we will need to consider whether we waive the 3 readings, or read it by title, waive the 3 readings, and then eventually pass it and publish it.
They are wanting to start getting some of their work done out there, so just before you get there, I'll just let you know, they would probably prefer waiving 3 readings, just know that.
Yeah. And we haven't had any other input since then.
They had some questions up for a while, they didn't ask you, and they got those answered.
Yeah.
There's some questions.
They were worried about like water issues, drainage issues, but they sent somebody out and did a study and came to the conclusion that I thought they would anyway, so, yeah.
Well, first step would be to designate ordinance 1838.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Radcliffe, second by Sherman. Roll call.
Galloway?
Yes.
Radcliffe?
Yes.
Olson?
Yes.
Elwanger?
Yes.
Sherman?
Yes.
Motion carries 5 in favor, 0 against. Next step would be to have the clerk read it by title.
An ordinance of the City of Sidney, Nebraska authorizing the sale of all right, title, and interest of the City of Sidney, Nebraska in and to a tract of land legally described as Lot 2 of Sidney North Subdivision, being part of the southeast quarter of the 2nd 29, Township 14, North, Range 49, west of the 6th PM, Sidney, Cheyenne County, Nebraska, containing approximately 3.2 acres, more or less, and specifying the terms of such sale in Section 2 below. Be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Sidney, Nebraska.
So in short, it's the property adjacent to the old landfill. People are familiar with that. Agreement to sell that piece of property to Table Grace for their building project. And I would say as we have worked through all of this, basically we're just fixing a clerical error. I would ask if there's interest in waiving the 3 readings.
I would make a motion that we waive the 3 readings. Second.
Motion by Radcliffe, second by Sherman to waive the 3 readings. Roll call.
Radcliffe?
Yes.
Olson?
Yes.
Elwanger?
Yes.
Sherman?
Yes.
Galloway?
Yes. Motion to waive carries 5 in favor, 0 against. So this constitutes the 3rd reading. I would ask if there's a motion to pass ordinance 1838.
So moved.
Motion by Olson,
Second.
second by Elwanger. Roll call.
Olson?
Yes.
Elwanger?
Yes.
Sherman?
Yes.
Galloway?
Yes.
Radcliffe?
Yes.
So motion carries 5 in favor, 0 against. Ask the clerk to read it by number.
1838.
And last step would be asking for a motion to publish the said ordinance.
So moved.
Motion by Elwanger,
Second.
second by Sherman. Roll call.
Elwanger?
Yes.
Sherman?
Yes.
Galloway?
Yes.
Radcliffe?
Yes.
Olson?
Yes.
Motion carries 5 in favor, 0 against. So that will clean up that matter and make the title company happy, which is
Sorry about
important. We can move on with that. Item number 5, consideration of resolution 20220901, workforce housing TIF incentive plan.
Here we are, huh? We're finally there. This is what we've been working towards. This is why we spent a lot of time doing a housing study and updating a new modern blight study. And now we are finally to the point where we can present this to the council. What we want to do is make this an option for some of the areas where,
You're doing a draft.
is it your draft pick?
Yeah.
Do you need any help?
You play quarterback.
What are your options?
Oh my God, stop.
Nice.
Are we really doing this?
We were just kidding, I don't even know, but I appreciate that, and I'll play it.
That's awesome.
Just take next best available, right? Anyway, so this whole started out actually as a conversation with Bayard Home and, long time ago. And so we're finally to where we can present something to you. TIF is usually a valuable incentive in areas where there is no infrastructure. As you know, that's what it's usually used for, is to put in your water, sewer, streets, fire plugs, all that kind of stuff. But we have that stuff in these neighborhoods and need to find another way to incentivize builders, because to put those stuff in, there were on some of them quite large special assessments. So this would kind of open us up to an area where we could use something a little bit different to incentivize a builder in those areas, such as like Prairie Winds, Daily Drive, and maybe even the ranch. I'm not sure what direction we would want to take there, but it will be a valuable tool in doing this. I got to just figure out now a way to do this, especially in the larger areas where we can do it an area at a time, because nobody's going to build 50 homes in a year, right? You're just not going to do that. So we would need to find a way to tier some sort of a TIF bond where it would be for only so many houses or have it in sections or something like that, but I'll start working on that next because I think that we probably have a couple builders that might be interested, but their capability would not be to do that many homes in a time. And by the time you would get it all built out, see, the TIF wouldn't be any good because if it takes you 15 years to build all those houses, that land is still just land and there's no additional income on the ones that you haven't built on yet. So we would have to tier it in some way, but that's what we're looking at now. But I think this is a great program. I'm glad we took all the steps we needed to get here.
Is there a cap on the amount of space or the dollar amount that this would cover?
It would not be able to exceed what you think you would raise in ad valorem taxes, but that would be the only cap. I mean, you can't ask for more than you think you're going to get in 15 years in ad valorem taxes. It would need to be below that. But other than that, there wouldn't be.
Because I guess the second question I would ask is, I mean, the housing study that we did says that we are looking at needing 208 homes within the next 8 years to the year 2030.
Yep, true.
Well, that works out to 26 homes a year.
Yep.
Is that realistic under something like this?
Maybe. I mean, if we could find enough builders, we could do it under this. We have enough spots. We've probably got at least 100 right now that have infrastructure. And the ones that don't, like, you know, that would get you halfway there, right? But the ones that don't have the infrastructure in place, yeah, we would use regular TIF for something like that, you know, because we would have to put the infrastructure in place there. But we have roughly 100 spots between, let's see, the Ranch, Daily Drive, Prairie Winds. There's at least probably 100 between the three of those that we can use this kind of program on.
So we would be limited only by the number of developers we could attract?
Well, I mean,
Or no?
you need somebody to build the house, right? I mean, I can act as a developer, but I still need somebody. I need a contractor, you know? And it's hard to get them out of the Front Range when they can build $600,000 houses all day long and not have to put their people in hotels or anything like that. So, and the ones that are local in this area, I don't know that have the capability of doing 26 year, but I'm going to continue to find somebody that can, though. I mean, I want as many contractors and as many agreements as we can get going for work. We need workforce housing really badly, so.
Finding developers or contractors is obviously going to be the hardest part.
It's hard because
that would be the hardest part.
Their margin right now is so thin on profit, you know, especially in rural areas like this. But that doesn't mean it's impossible.
What types of things then, if it's not infrastructure, what types of things does this cover then? What types of things get worked into an agreement?
Well, it would be a lot of some of your building costs, probably a lot of like I want to say gap financing. So if the property doesn't sell for what it costs you to build, you could wrap some gap financing into that to maybe incentivize the builder to take a little bit of the risk off the table. Mostly, it would probably in some of these areas, especially like the ranch, that if we used this there, I don't know that we would, but if we used this there, it would definitely be of use to pay off the special assessments. And it can even be land acquisition if it's not special assessments. Like if you go over by Daily Drive or something, it can be used to help purchase the lot. So that way the builder just needs to build. And the cost of the initial purchase of the land would be wrapped into the bond.
I noticed under workforce housing, the definitions of what that meant.
It's a little strict.
It also mentioned upper story housing. Could that apply to downtown
It could.
apartments?
It could. It could.
So there would be a potential for local
People
building
to-
owners, landlords?
It depends on how they do it. I mean, if it's just like one building and they just want to redo 2 apartments, I don't know that you do something like this. I'd probably want to maybe look at a micro TIF, even though, you know, those are still new. That'd probably be more of kind of
A little more appropriate?
for a spot project rather than an overall district project.
Okay, I just was curious if
No,
that
that's a good question.
worked into that potential anywhere.
Yeah.
Any other questions for David on this workforce housing TIF incentive plan? Quiet group.
You asked a lot of questions in one hour.
I was
No, those are
worried-
good questions.
I was worried about that.
It's a road to get here, so.
Yeah. If no other questions, then is there a motion to pass resolution 20220901?
So moved.
Motion by Sherman. Is there a second? Second by Radcliffe. Roll call.
Sherman?
Yes.
Galloway?
Yes.
Radcliffe?
Yes.
Olson?
Yes.
Elwinger?
Yes.
Motion carries 5 in favor, 0 against. Item number 6, consideration of LB 840 Crescera Brands Incorporated Agreement, recommended action.
Okay, this is an interesting one. This is the new company that's coming to town. I think we talked about this in my economic development update here about a month or two ago. And I mentioned that I'd probably be bringing something like this to you because I knew they were inquiring about it. And we do have that agreement in front of you. It's essentially to have 12 new jobs, and I have reviewed the descriptions, and they're very high-paying jobs. So I think this would be good for the area to get those kind of jobs here. I did have a really good conversation with the Economic Development Citizens Advisory Committee about this. It was actually a lot more conversation than what I thought we would have, but it was really good. It was really good. It was a very good meeting. I like this agreement. I like what it does. I like the jobs it'll bring to town. But I also have some of the same concerns that the Economic Development Advisory Committee has. Are we still going this route, or is it time to start switching to more something different, like housing or some other kind of incentives to get employees here rather than incentivizing the job creation like we've just kind of done in the past with the same agreements? And I agree with them. I think that it might be time to start about winding this down after this one. And I thought they were on point, and it was a really good conversation. I don't know what this legislative body feels about that, but they did agree that this was still kind of a good opportunity, and they didn't want to pass it up. But they thought we probably should start thinking about other things, with our LB 840 money, down the road. So anyway.
And there's nothing to say it couldn't be a blend of those options
All kinds of
either.
things, yeah. I mean, we're just so thin on it anymore. We don't
Yeah.
have much.
We're stretched fairly thin on our
It's very,
dollars.
very thin, yeah. It's very thin money. We don't have much to, and when it gets like that, it's it makes you a little more hesitant and a little bit more conversative about how you want to use your limited resources when it starts to get to that point. It was very good meeting. And once again, this is the company that has the Sportsman's Guide and then the Golfing World as their two main.
And we're talking about $200,000?
Yep, $200,000 over 3 years.
What was
So
the
they-
employee requirements again?
It was 12, so 4 a year for 3 years, and they have to have all 12 of them, and they have to have 4 each year, and they would have to hit at least $800,000 of payroll by the time they're done too. And in this agreement, I'll just point this out, when I sent this to them, they definitely had people review it, which is fine. And they took out a lot of the safety nets that the city has built into these kind of contracts. They didn't want to, I can't remember what it was. They removed a whole bunch of them. They removed the employee commitment. They said, well, why can't we just create the payroll? We'll just give you 800, well, but we don't, do we have to have the 12? And I said, yes, you do. You could hire one person, pay them $800, and we pay a quarter of the bill. I'm not doing that. So I put everything back in, and we went back and forth, and they finally just agreed to the original format with all the safety guides for the city where we don't have to pay them if they don't. They also had a clause in there where it said, if they don't meet it, we prorate them. We've been kind in some of our agreements in doing that so far, but I don't know that I want to commit to that. If somebody's not performing and they just come in and hire 2 employees and that's all they ever do, I don't want to prorate them for not having sticking with it and trying to make it work. So it was a little bit more back and forth than I've had on one of these. Nobody's ever tried that before, and at least not for me. And I thought that was interesting that they tried to remove that, but. Not having any part of that.
Agreement that a safety net for us that prevents the situation we got in before about home-based employees.
Mm-hmm.
And we put something in there now about that.
I make it so it says they do have to be located in Sydney.
Sydney.
Or Cheyenne County, yeah. They can't just say, we want money, but we hired a bunch of people in Illinois
Right.
to work from home. That doesn't, they tried that one too. Yeah.
So what do? Do you audit that?
What's that?
Do you audit that?
When they turn in their annual report to me, giving me their payroll information, I can ask for addresses as well as salaries.
And I was actually going to ask at the end of the meeting, some of the existing TIP agreements, like, or not,
You mean job creation?
job creation
Sure.
agreements, because there was one I had a question on whether they were meeting
There's a lot of them that are.
employee numbers or not, and then more specifically if the addresses were available.
Well, honestly, I wouldn't have been able to put this on the board in front of you if I hadn't, and I don't want to say this in a negative, because I want every business to succeed. Everybody that we have an agreement with, we want them to do it, right? And to hire all those people and to succeed. But we have had several that have not gotten their annual payout. And I think I know here, well, there's a couple of them that were for work from home. One was Nelnet. And I did verify those, that they were, and the other one, I think, that even, it was not originally written for work from home, but they are now, is UST, and I did verify those as well.
Well, I was thinking of one that had talked about doing business nationwide, and I was like, I already doing business nationwide.
I don't remember which one that
Everybody
was.
here. Renikoski.
Oh, yes. Well, he didn't get the full amount either, nor did Recircle, because they couldn't verify all that stuff that I wanted.
Yeah, that was my only question, just to make sure,
Yeah.
just that we are doing follow through on.
Yeah, and those are two right there examples of, it's not written in the contract that we have to prorate. We can just say, no, you didn't meet it, you get nothing. But I did prorate for both Recircled and Rinkowski. They didn't get their full amount, but they got a portion of it for what I thought.
Is that contractual language that you may or may not prorate?
It is, we don't have to. We can just say, you didn't meet it this year, you're done for the whole rest of the agreement. You know, it's just done, you didn't meet it, it's done now. It's terminated because you didn't meet it on year 2 or whatever. But if they're trying, and I hate to say this, I think if I had, and I talked to the Economic Development Advisory Committee about all these too. They're very good people to talk to about this stuff too. And we had considered it on one of them, but then they found a new investing partner that came in and pumped some new money into the operation, and so it is doing a little better now. And so we did prorate that, thinking that it's showing signs of life now. And we were very close to just saying no, just end it. But they did find a new investor that has kind of helped them out a little bit. So.
Well, I think we absolutely have to have safeguards in place
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that we're
Yeah.
taking
It's
care
important.
of the public's tax dollars.
Yes.
So, good information.
Yeah.
Off the subject of good information. Does relate to this, I guess, but.
But that is really, literally the only reason we're able to do this now is because those others didn't meet their, that's where this money is coming from, is from the ones who didn't meet their obligation. I wouldn't have had enough to offer this.
So if everybody meets their obligations next quarter, or next year, will we still be okay?
We will now because they didn't the last 2 years.
Oh.
I mean, we've saved probably this much in the last 2 years of people that didn't meet their obligations, so. It's unfortunate because we want everybody to succeed, but this is why we don't pay them when they don't meet.
Yeah.
Because now we can bring somebody else in, with that money, rather than just giving it to somebody that's not performing, so.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
this
the-
is why we structure our funds the way we do, and I actually spoke to that fact down at the League Municipality Conference, and other towns were asking
How to do it.
how to do this stuff, and I said, well, we don't give money up front, it's performance-based.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sarah, that's a question for you.
A lot,
The job creative incentive money, every single year, is that for them to use to whatever they want, or is it part of the salary?
it's for them to reimburse them for that portion of the salary.
Oh, so it is going to that.
But they can spend it. I mean, I don't audit them on how they spend the money.
Yeah.
They created the jobs and brought in the payroll and brought in the people, so we give them the money. I mean, however you would hope they would use that to
It's
keep building
based
their
on
business.
job
but-
creation.
Yeah.
Okay.
A specific number agreed upon for job creation.
If they hire, in year one, if they hire 4 people and have $200,000 in payroll for that year, then they would get the $65,000.
Then really, it's for them to use.
Yep.
Kind of however.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. I mean,
It is to be grown, so they can
to us, it's to reimburse a portion of their payroll, but if they've already paid those people and they want to use that to try to bring more people in or build their business bigger so they can continue to hire, that's perfectly well for them to do that, yeah.
Our focus is on creating those jobs.
Yeah, ours is just, we just want the people to have jobs and live
The
here.
jobs have to
and-
be in place for a year.
Right.
Don't they?
They have to be for 12 consecutive
12
months.
consecutive months.
Yes.
Yeah.
So year one of that.
Yeah.
Any other questions about this specific agreement with Crescera Brands for use of OB 840 funds? Basically 12 jobs over 3 years. Correct?
Yep.
If there's no other questions, then is there a motion to approve this agreement with Crescera Brands? So moved. Motion by Radcliffe, is there a second? Second by Sherman, roll call.
Galloway?
Yes?
Radcliffe?
Yes.
Olson?
Yes.
Elwinger?
Yes.
Sherman?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0 against. Item number 6, Nebraska Affordable Housing Trust Fund letter.
And I just wanted, I think I told you guys this maybe at the last meeting under my comments, but I just wanted to include it because it is kind of a letter that's written to me and the city, and I wanted to know what we're getting out of this letter. We did apply, as you know, a while back to the Nebraska Affordable Housing Trust Fund, and it was to build 2 or 3 houses, whatever we could get for that money that they were going to give us if we were awarded. And we made the first round, but we did not make the final cut to be awarded these funds. So I think this is good that we did this when we did it, though. I wish I should have put this on the agenda before the other one, but anyway. It's good that we did this because the one that we really want, the one that the Nebraska Community, or the Nebraska Community Foundation, Sidney Donor Advised Fund is backing, and the one that I think will be of most benefit to us is the Rural Workforce Housing Fund. And I'm glad we did this one first, and so if there are lessons to be learned, we learned it on this grant that just would only have been very limited in scope, rather than the next one down the line. And I do have, they did send me some information on what they thought we could have did better in our application process, just more detailed and things like that. But I also have a meeting scheduled Thursday with the main director of this committee and this program to have a lengthy conversation about them, because we want to make sure that we did this for a reason and we learned something from it going forward on how to apply the next time. And maybe even if we apply to this next year, we would have a better shot. We were told when we did this that not very many people their first year get it unless they somehow find somebody else's application and know exactly what they're asking for, because it was very competitive. So anyway, I just wanted to put this in here and let you guys know that while we didn't get it, I think it's beneficial, and I think we can learn a lot from it going forward. I don't think you need to take any action or anything, but if you have questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Any questions on that before we move
So
on?
do we know who was awarded these?
I won't. I mean, they'll send letters to those communities. I might be able to ask her which communities got money Thursday when I talk to her on the phone. I'll see how much she'll tell me.
After they've been awarded, you can get copies of,
Well, see, this is why most cities are pretty protective of these.
but does the state have to make them public at some point?
I don't know if they have to make their application. They'd have to say who they're giving the money to. I'll be able to find that out, but I don't know that they're going to show me some other city's application,
I suppose not.
Yeah.
because they don't want to share that with you. They're,
That'd be
they're
nice to
competing
see,
with you.
know, if there's a trend there.
Right.
Types of programs that got approved, yeah.
I feel like I have a pretty good relationship with the lady that runs this program, and she's a big fan of Sydney. So I think, I mean, having a conversation with her Thursday is going to be very helpful. And we have a really good relationship, and I think she's going to give me what I need to know to help us move forward.
Okay. No other questions? We'll move on. Item number 8, claims for August
Marva?
2022. They were reviewed by Ms. Marva.
Oh, they're good then.
Yeah. Nothing looked out of,
Wow, that's a lot of credit there.
no. They looked, everything seemed to be in order.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve claims if there's no other questions?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Olson.
Second.
Second by Mr. Sherman. Roll call.
Radcliffe?
Yes.
Olson?
Yes.
Elwinger?
Yes.
Sherman?
Yes.
Galloway?
Yes, motion carries 5-0 against. Budget reports, lights and confetti.
I know this is what you guys all come for, so. Nightmares or dreams too, Bob.
That's what I was reminded.
That's a good sign.
Lane Kazire, Finance Director. Property tax varies year to year, pretty consistent where we've been. 1 month left. Sales and occupation tax, we are slightly ahead. In August, we're at 95% of our budgeted revenues. 1 month left. I'd expect that we hit our mark this year. I haven't seen September's yet, so I can't say for sure, but fees for service, I included the Aquatic Center in here, which I told you I would do that. You can see we made $76,000, $783. This year, which is a little higher than last year, seems like we sold more season passes and less daily admissions. And it seemed like there had some more kids in swimming lessons. I know I had 2 of them that did it, so rental equipment was up and concessions was about where it was last year, so.
Did they pass?
They did pass. They're better swimmers than I am. I would have failed, but. State, federal, and county, this varies year to year. We're ahead in here, largely in part of the transportation money and equalization money as well too. And then franchise and admin fees, nothing to report. I would anticipate next year, once we kind of get rolling with Allo, the franchise fees probably go up a little bit, but gotta wait for them to get in service and stuff. That'll be 2 different competitors with service in town, so I would anticipate a little bit higher franchise fees once they're up and going, but.
David, we haven't heard anything from them specifically since you mentioned it. Now you hear chatter that they're getting closer and closer to being operational.
I think they've run into some problems.
A lot of work.
They're finding out how difficult the ground is underneath Sydney. I think they came in with this idea that it was just going to be this easy cakewalk, and we knew it wouldn't be. But they're
They're making progress.
they're making progress. They're down one. One of their subcontractors that does the undergrounding had
Wow.
left, came in and worked like 2 weeks and left on them. So now they're just down to Bauer again. So they're trying to find another one, so if they will. That they'll hire them if they can find them. You know, to.
Yeah, not to get sidetracked.
So that's all right. Sorry, Lane.
But, well, I brought it up, so.
Exactly.
But, yeah, I think they found out there's a lot more stuff buried than they were anticipating, so.
Sydney's a little complicated underneath the ground than what you think.
Yeah, that's all I have, unless you have any questions.
Any questions for Lane on budget reports for August?
Yeah, in the catch-all category, other, do we know why that's so low?
Other. What is in other? Oh, you know why that's so low. So we had the rebudgeted funds of $300,000 that we had put aside for additional projects. You know, if the Elks building was going to take off this year or anything like that. So there's $300,000 of revenue that we're not actually going to see. It's essentially reserves is what it is. And that's where that fell in that category. So that's why that one looks the way it does. If you look at that, I mean, we're pretty consistent where we've been in the past. A lot of that is that's the rent from the UST building and interest is what that really is in the other category. Yeah, that percentage is a little skewed though with the $300,000. It just isn't being. We're not going to see it. I mean, we're not going to record the revenue. Even if we were to spend the $300,000, we wouldn't have recorded the revenue. So.
Okay, is there a motion to approve budget reports for August?
Some
Motion by Olson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Olson. I was going to say C.
Olson?
Believe me.
Yeah.
Elwinger?
Yes.
Sherman?
Yes.
Galloway?
Yes.
Radcliffe?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0 against. Picture time. Item number 10, budget PowerPoint. Over specifics of the budget again.
I would
Yeah,
normally do this, but I figured every other item was me, so.
I guess
Let Lane
you
talk for a while.
wanted me to talk a little bit more.
This one or that one?
This one.
Bob doesn't care, he can't see it anyway. So, first off, I do want to be clear, this is not the budget hearing. I noticed that as I displayed the PowerPoint, this isn't the budget hearing, that's next meeting. So, we'll go ahead and flip to the second slide there, Autumn, and go ahead and go over the expenses. This is everything that we went over in the budget workshop. This has all been updated from here. You can see total in general, we have the $10,612,947. And then as you go down, I don't know if you guys want me to go over all those. Man, you can barely see that up there. Obviously, the big one we had, sewer wastewater treatment. We have the expenses. We have that extra in there in case the state were to come down and say we had to do something. Street, we had the extra expense in there in case we do get that grant to redo downtown. And then Mike has his big project as well too in the electric department. So that puts us at the total expenses, $36,675,158. And the next one just kind of breaks down where everything is, and I know there's no way anybody can read those tiny letters up there. The bulk of it is electric and general. Electric's 33%. The general fund is 29%. And then everything else is anywhere from 5 to 12 in there. If we go to the next slide. This would be our budgeted revenue. Obviously, it's a little bit less than the general fund, and I think we discussed that in the budget. We're going to budget to eat up some of those reserves just because of the state requirements for it. It makes it almost impossible to do that budget worksheet if you have too much in reserve. So we need to eat up some of those. And then all the electrics the same way. Again, can't have too much sitting in reserve. So then, obviously, we're budgeting the $31,655,271 in revenues. And then again, as you come over here, you can see general and electric account for about 29% each, and then everything else is anywhere from 2 to 14. It looks like for revenues. And then this one, then it just kind of explains everything. You see, we're budgeting a negative $5 million. And then here we have our explanation for why that is. Every year we budget the $500,000 in electric and $200,000 in water. In case of emergencies, we hope we never have to use it. That gets us down to about 4.3. Electric department, we've carried over 2.1 for that backup generator and relay project. That puts us down to 2.1 million in the negative. The street, we added that $1 million project in the capital projects. That puts us at a negative 1.1. And then in general fund, we increased that special projects again, which is what Bob had just mentioned, where we had that extra $300,000 revenue this year. We don't have that revenue this year in there. And that's why it takes us down where we're 5 million negative. But that gets us to 203 positive. And then also we had to carry forward the Link J project, which is another $70,000. I'm guessing on that at this point in time to what's left. She wouldn't tell me what was exactly left on it. So, and then we have, that puts us at $273,000, 873 in the positive. And then I did want to note that every one of those projects that's listed above is all paid with existing funds. There's no new taxes or fees that are going to be accrued to pay for any of that. Those are all funds and reserves that we already have.
Isn't Link J down to just like 60 or 70 grand plus Radcliffe Lane?
Yes, it is. That doesn't include Radcliffe Lane in there. The turning lane's not in there. As we get here, this would be our mill levy. You see, we've kept it consistent since 19 and 20, and that's going to change this year. We're going to drop the mill levy a little bit. Obviously, if we did not do that, we had to send out, I'm sure you all got those bright pink postcards. Those are bright, and that's what we wanted to avoid sending. So, it's the person who was probably going to get eaten alive by the public on that one. I'm glad we did that. So, and then the sales tax revenues, you see we increased that a little bit, obviously. Going back to the budget report, we were a little ahead where we thought we were going to be this year. And again, just things are costing a little bit more, so the sales tax revenue is up a little bit more. And then we'll talk about the half-cent sales tax too. This is $300,000 of that is for
LB 840.
LB 840. And then that other extra half cent is something that would have to be, that's the part that has to be voted on, correct, David?
No, the rest just goes to general fund.
The rest just goes to general fund, that's right. The next one is the projected half cents. This is if it passes. It'll be on the ballot in November if it does. Obviously, we're projecting a little bit more in that. Sales tax is up. And then as you go down, this is the breakdown for the taxpayers, where we were last year, where we are this year. Percentage, even though our tax levy goes down a little bit, this is for 2021, we're still going to be about the same. The dollar kind of shows, the next slide, the dollar shows the bulk of where everything goes. You can see that the school it takes about $1,300 of it, $407 to Cheyenne County, $575 to the city of Sidney. NRD takes about $50, airport takes $45, and the historical society takes less than $1. And that's if you owned a home that was valued at $100,000 in Sidney. So, and then we have some accomplishments. I don't know, these haven't changed any in the last year. Some of the departments, some of the things that they completed throughout the year. I don't want to take up a whole bunch of time and read every one of them. And then the very last slide is the capital projects. We're done. Obviously, that's quite a bit. That's lower than previous years, or capital equipment, I guess.
We had a couple really big ticket items though last year.
Yeah, we did have
the fire truck and the.
And we had a couple $200,000+ items that are off of this. Sewer jet was
Yeah.
expensive too. Yeah, that was
And the
a big-
landfill truck too.
Yeah. So, and then I'll point out again too that the sewer department, they're one of the things that we can confidently use our ARPA funds on. And they're in need of some newer equipment, some to replace some stuff that's we've been putting off for years. So part of that's going to go to help pay for that. So
A lot of the ARPA funds were designated towards water projects.
Yeah, water, sewer,
water
things
and
like that.
sewer
yeah.
projects, they
Did
were.
we- Did we see anything that would go towards electrical or undergrounding or anything like that?
No,
So
they
you can
didn't.
use it for broadband, but a
Broadband's
lot of
about the
the
only thing.
state is dumping a ton of money into
Yeah, the
broadband.
infrastructure project is putting a lot into that.
The state is spending a lot of money in broadband, and so the feasible, I think, for us is that we use it on the sewer and take advantage of some of these projects that we wouldn't be able to use it for otherwise. And we have to get rid of it before,
Yeah, that's why. I asked.
2026 too, but-
Utilizing it to the fullest
Yeah.
extent.
yeah, and I think we'll be able to get it to the point to where we use it, a little bit for water, a little bit for sewer, a little bit for storm drain, if we can find a feasible project in there as well, so.
I think it's important to note too, on this last slide here, this $829,550, of that amount, other than what might be covered by ARPA money, that is all in our equipment reserve. That's not anything that we will pay interest on or have to bond for.
That's all I have, unless you guys have any other questions for me. If not, we'll be back. No, not on this one. Next meeting is the fun one, so I'll be back. You haven't seen the last of me.
Now he's determined. Okay, thank you. Item number 11, city manager's report.
I just wanted to say that I thought the joint planning commission and city council master comp plan meeting went really well. I thought some of it was interesting to see what people would say when asked a certain amount of questions about Sidney or how they felt about it. And some of it was surprising and some of it really wasn't. It seemed like a lot of the younger people in the room were more of risk takers, builders, let's go out and really do something. And then some of the older people were like, well, we just need to, So some of it wasn't much of a surprise to me, but then other things were. So but I thought it was very positive, and that plan is moving along well.
What are some of the surprising things?
I thought it was interesting how much in agreement a lot of the room was on certain aspects of city, not so much in like what they want to see built or done, but just attitude and opinions. Like that seems to me like it transcends, age and gender. Everybody has the same feeling of how Sidney is in general. It didn't seem like there was much of a divide on that. If that's what what did you guys get out? I think because Marvin, is that how you kind of felt too?
Yeah.
Yeah, but when it came to like actual initiatives where we want to do something with, this is the direction we want to go on this or whatever. That seemed a little bit more secure side on one generation and more, all in on the other. So it was interesting, though. I thought it was really good information. And then, I don't know if anybody signed up to go, but I just want to remind you, if you did, that the Volunteer Firefighters Awards Banquet is September 17th at 5:30 p.m. at Dudes, and the dinner is at 6:30. So if anybody signed up, I don't know if anybody did or not, but if you did, that's when that is. And I also thought this was interesting to point out. I have a meeting with some of the leadership at WNCC. I think it's next week, next Thursday, I want to say. I'm not sure the exact day. But they reached out to me. They're wanting to start some new actual programs in their facility here that are geared more towards trades. And so they're meeting with some of the local people and leaders or whatever to kind of talk about that. And so I think that's a good thing, really, for us. I'm looking forward to hearing what they have to say. And if anybody wants to go to that, I'll find out when the time is. I know that it's on September 21st, but I don't know if I know the time. I'll find out. And
Is it open to the public?
I think they're only inviting specific people to that. I don't know if they probably wouldn't have a problem with media, I don't think, though. I don't know. Paula Abbott at the WNCC would be the person to ask about how open they want that to be. I don't know how much they want that to be known. But and then the only other thing, Tasha stole I had on to introduce the new chamber director, but she jumped and did it before. And you stayed till the end anyway, so that was good for you. Yeah, stayed for Lane's report.
Sexy, I don't know what you're talking about.
And that's all I had.
Okay. Chief, anything?
Nothing, sir.
Autumn? Mike? Oh, I had a question. So we're talking about the underground conversion and stuff, 11th through 23rd. When will the old overhead lines on 11th actually?
We have to convert every house
Residents connected before those,
before they can come down. That's kind of our trunk line, so everything that line.
That's a difficult
imperative
one.
To keep up until every house is off the overhead system.
okay.
I ran the numbers today, we have 300 homes that convert still.
That's not bad.
What about the line that goes through the alley?
They're
Which
behind your house?
Yeah, I was just saying, probably the only person in town with two lines on, surrounded by lines.
That's not the case.
You're not the only one.
There's a few of us.
Yeah. Same thing, so basically, once every house is converted off that 11th Street, then we can start taking down our infrastructure. As Roger knows, charter is still an issue.
Yeah.
We've been working with them.
I've passed 2 years with charter on the pole in my backyard.
Well, at least we don't have to.
I will say that Valley View, they did get off Valley View. We were able to remove all the infrastructure in the Valley View area. They are working. It's just at a slower pace than we would all like. And short of throwing them on the ground, which would be troublesome for all the residents, we have very limited other resources. They are still paying us pole rental for those poles, as well as paying us to take down the poles once they get done. So the fact that they're taking a while is actually to a benefit, because they're paying us to take them down, because we're essentially saying they're yours. So
Did we build a fee or something into one of the last agreements, though, if they did not take them down in a timely manner? I thought, was it the franchise?
I think we had-
Franchise agreement?
I think it was just that we could, if they didn't do it, we could go in and do it and bill them for it. That's my recollection. It's been a while since we looked at it.
That's where I'm going with
And that's where we're at, basically. They're paying for us to take them down, rather than us having to take them down on our dime. But there's a lot of people that's still tied to charter, and, I mean,
Yeah, most of the
it would be real
city.
smart to just be like, we're cutting all your guys' service off. And
No.
So, we're kind of in between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah, that's why I had kind of pushed for some type of consequences if they didn't.
Well, and
Allocate
like I
it, by the way.
said,
Isn't
we
it?
do, we
Check the
give them
other day.
notice and they have to take them down, and if they do not take them down, then they have to pay us to take them down. It's just
Yeah.
finding the time for your people, I'm sure. And then if they're still utilizing them, they can continue to pay us rent.
I'm working on it. Actually, I have a meeting tomorrow with them.
There you go. Hey, you can mention it was brought up.
Will do.
Thank you.
Roger, do you mind if I back up just for, there was one thing I wanted to mention, I forgot to when Lane was doing his budget PowerPoint. And we had talked about it in the budget workshop, that the health insurance came in with no increase, which is unheard of and really fantastic. But I also wanted to mention, we met with Rob Robinson last week, and there's also a decrease in our general liability insurance too. So, two fantastic things for this year's budget. So, yeah, I just wanted to point that out.
Oh, that's good. Lane, you already got to talk. Okay. All right.
Farmers Market, we only have 2 more left to go, and the produce is finally coming in. If you haven't been down there, you ought to really check them out. There's a lot of good crafts and,
Where's that at?
huh?
Where is that at?
At Hickory Square, from 8 till noon.
There you go. There you
Boom.
go.
Sell it, Lord.
Yeah. I'll let the public know. Okay.
Back to the affordable housing application, what was some of the main feedback you got?
Well, all I got was just a basic general letter from them that said that they thought that there were other applicants that were more detailed than we were, and I guess I'll find out more when I talk to them about how I can be more detailed.
On Thursday?
Yep,
Okay, good question.
yep, good question.
Tasha, any other news from the chamber that you know of right now that you,
I'm having an open house on the 26th from 7:30 to 5:30.
Awesome.
Hopefully something like that fits in their schedule. Otherwise, for the month of September, not much other than just trying to reach out and meet everybody, all businesses, and I've already been to a few other meetings, and I have a bunch more scheduled, so.
awesome. I appreciate your efforts to get out and meet people in the public right away.
Yeah, my goal was to be at these meetings regularly, so you'll know.
Awesome. Council comments, Marva?
I don't have anything this week.
Oh my goodness.
I know.
Bradley?
Well, the lighting committee is proud to announce that they've got the lights in and we've got them started up.
Started.
We've got a ways to go. It'll take longer than we thought.
Yeah.
Could use more volunteers.
I saw nobody wanted to go on the rounded roof.
Oh, we're
There were some sketchy moves on a couple buildings. I wouldn't go into more detail in case Osha was listening or Mom was watching.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
And we will be out tomorrow morning, Thursday morning and afternoon, so that Lori can help. And then we're going to come out on Saturday and work right up until the, what I'm calling the Oklahoma Sooner upset.
Okay.
Oh, wow. You heard it here first.
Well, and to what Brad stated, you know, because I know, we've made good progress. There's a lot to do, but comments from the public and feedback from the public has been outstanding. Just how much they appreciate seeing that, and the look of the downtown that project is taking on. So
We had a historic board meeting today, and they're very happy with the way they spent their money.
good. There's been and that's my comment on that. There's been a lot of positive feedback on that. So we'll keep plugging away, and as Brad said, anybody wants to help volunteer with that, get a hold of the
Don't do high places.
249-2321, call me anytime.
There it is.
I want the part that's on the
Bob,
ground.
anything?
No, I will just say that I've kind of watched the park for a couple months here, even having to Brad there one night and that. But I think that's really an asset on two motions. Number one, the volunteerism of individuals and citizens to make that, a success in that. And then the enjoyment There's been a lot of kids down there, a lot of parents with younger children down there. That's really massive.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. I think it's an outstanding asset of the community, and the fact that they pulled that off in a manner and time.
Pretty impressive.
Was outstanding.
Yeah, I don't think we ought to forget their efforts there.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe that's something we could organize, maybe a formal thank you at a council meeting. I thought about that last time, so I'm kind of glad you brought that up. At least some type of formal recognition, I think, is warranted.
Yep, we can do that.
And Brad was on the playground there, on the rides too. So.
Yes.
Wasn't taking any of my grandkids, it was just me.
Absolutely. Bert?
Got nothing.
Okay. I don't have anything necessarily. Other than that, I was going to ask if there's an update on the Elks Building project, the
Yeah.
renovation of the former city auditorium.
Yes.
Anybody else?
Still trying to get all the subcontractors lined up. I am talking directly to the contractor now, rather than going through the engineering firm. I seem to get a quicker response. Last week, I talked to them every week. They have everybody lined up now, and they even found somebody to do the sprinkler fire suppression system, and then at the last minute, they lost their HVAC person. So now they're scrambling to find somebody to do HVAC. There's just nobody in there. They're going almost all the way to Lincoln to find somebody that'll do it and be able to do it in the next, 6 months to a year, and that's about how far out they are now. So they're trying, and I believe them. It's a very complicated project with a lot of different subcontractors, and the pieces, you can't do it without some of the pieces, so, but they are trying very hard. I don't know that I could possibly push them any more than I am without them not taking my calls anymore.
And do you feel like we've reached out to all the local contractors?
Oh, yes.
Everybody?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I've called them up personally. Try to see if I can get them to do it. Nobody will do the HVAC portion. I don't know why.
Just but I mean everything.
Oh, yeah. We've got contractors lined up for everything but that.
Whatever.
Yeah, there are some. Most of them are not, but there are. I think there's, who is it there's one that was local. I can't remember who it was now. The Windows is not. Fire suppression is not. Who's doing the bathrooms? That was a local. I'm sorry, I don't have the information in front of me. I know there's a couple local, but I tried to get the HVAC and I can't find. I'm not having any luck.
Concern?
What's that?
What's their concern? The
Well, I don't know. It's so much their concern. They just, I think people just they don't have staff. They don't have project managers. They have full schedules. And I need somebody that's going to be able to do this in the next 6 months to a year before,
So what are we needing to get started?
What do you mean? Somebody to do the work. That's like, somebody needs to come in and start tearing it apart.
One phase has to happen before another phase.
Oh, sure. Well,
So we're obviously waiting on somebody.
we're waiting on steel contractors. That's the main company. That's the only company
Okay.
that would even tackle this project. Nobody else. We tried. They were the only ones that would tackle
It's not a
it.
matter of him, is it a matter of him finding an electrician? Is it a matter of him using the HVAC?
We have an electrician.
Because in order to do step one, which we're hoping is opening up the ceiling.
Right. The project is so tied together. I mean,
Yeah.
it's hard to do HVAC. You wouldn't want to go up there and do that without working on the ceiling, right? And you can't do either one of those without doing the wiring because they're going to make us go all the way back to the panel because it's
Right.
old cloth lines. You can't spot replace when it's old cloth lines. They make you go all the way back to the breaker box, which is another added expense. But it's just hard to do one of those things without doing them all. And then the sprinkler suppression system would have to go in there at the same time as well. I mean, we could try to do a portion of it. I have talked to them about, because it's going to be the dollar amount is going to be really big. And I did talk to them about my nervousness of not being able to get our grant money spent, if we don't start this thing.
That's where I'm going.
And I thought that might be where we're going. And he kind of assured me more or less without coming right out and saying it, we'd spend that in the first month with just materials alone.
But we have to do it
So
within a timeline.
this thing's going to be over $1 million for sure.
But we need to do it within a timeline as well, so.
We have an extension until I think, I want to say like is it October or September of 2020? I'm sorry, I should bring this information with me. I don't have it with me, but I know that we have till fall of 2023 sometime. If we don't spend it by then, we would have to either ask for another extension and just hope they'd give it to us, but that does give us a little bit of a time.
Okay, that was the only question.
No, that's a good one, that's a good one. It's a difficult project, I'm glad you asked about that.
Yeah, question or comment I had. Otherwise, on the agenda, the only other item is closed session regarding personal matters, over contract evaluation stuff. So I would ask if there is a motion to go into closed session. Motion by Olson, is there a second? Second by Sherman. Roll call.
Elwinger?
Yes.
Sherman?
Yes.
Galloway?
Yes.
Radcliffe?
Yes.
Olson?